For over a decade, a masterclass in psychological manipulation and financial hoarding was broadcast directly into millions of living rooms under the guise of wholesome family entertainment. Kody Brown, the self-proclaimed patriarchal ruler, forced his children to film their most traumatic, agonizing, and intensely private moments, trading their childhood innocence for lucrative television contracts to secure the ultimate reality television bag. He operated with a staggering level of arrogance, utterly convinced that his children would remain perpetually young, eternally compliant, and blindly loyal to his authority. He assumed they would never grow up, never understand the true value of their own exploited labor, and never ask the terrifying question that now threatens to completely dismantle his entire financial empire. Where exactly did all their money go? If you want the unapologetic truth behind the reality television curtains and the dark financial secrets the network cameras never show, hit that like button and subscribe to Jenny Exposes right now to join the investigation. The tragic irony of the sister wives phenomenon is that Kody Brown documented his own financial exploitation on international television, immortalizing his greed in high definition for the entire world to analyze. The viewers watched these children grow up under the relentless, glaring lights of production crews, their tears, their medical emergencies, and their deepest insecurities heavily edited and packaged for mass consumption. They were the undeniable lifeblood of the series, the emotional anchors that kept audiences tuning in season after season, generating millions of dollars in advertising revenue and syndication deals. Yet, as the cameras stopped rolling and the children transitioned into adulthood, a chilling reality began to surface. Imagine the cold, hard reality of a bank statement glaring back with a massive red zero, a haunting symbol of stolen youth and vanished wealth. Picture Kody Brown, holding stacks of cash generated by the raw trauma of his offspring, funneling the lifeblood of his family into an endless void of his own desires. The contradiction is breathtaking. He paraded his family as a testament to his divine leadership, all while allegedly orchestrating a financial structure designed to strip them of their rightful earnings. As the children of reality television begin to wake up to the harsh realities of their commodified childhoods, a massive cultural and legal reckoning has arrived at Kody Brown's doorstep. Entertainment lawyers and relentless internet sleuths have started asking the golden question that strikes terror into the hearts of reality television parents everywhere. Where is truly Brown's Coogan account? For those unfamiliar with the dark history of child stardom, a Coogan account is a legally mandated trust designed to protect a portion of a child performer's earnings from the very people most likely to steal it, their parents. It is a legal shield against the ultimate betrayal. But in the shadowy, loosely regulated world of reality television, this protective mandate is often treated merely as a suggestion, deliberately sidestepped by greedy parents looking to maximize their immediate payout. Rumors are swirling with hurricane force that Kody Brown completely bypassed these ethical and legal safeguards, allegedly filtering every single TLC check into a centralized family limited liability company over which he maintained absolute and dictatorial control. This financial maneuvering has forced Kody into an inescapable trap, a brutal credibility dilemma that leaves him completely cornered. The walls are closing in on his grand illusion. If he attempts to defend himself by claiming he responsibly deposited the network money into a family LLC that he solely controls, he is legally admitting to financially exploiting his minor child by trapping her wages in an inaccessible corporate structure designed for his benefit. He confesses to being the ultimate gatekeeper of funds he did not earn. Conversely, if he takes the stand or sits in a confessional chair and admits that he spent her reality television earnings on his own extravagant lifestyle, on the sprawling properties, the luxury vehicles, and the endless accumulation of meaningless material possessions, he opens himself up to massive, catastrophic civil liability. It is a classic double bind, a perfectly constructed legal nightmare of his own making, where every potential defense only deepens his incrimination and accelerates his downfall. The stakes are escalating with terrifying speed. rapidly moving far beyond the emotional squabbles of family court and straight into the severe, unforgiving territory of state labor law scrutiny. This is no longer merely a domestic dispute about custody or visitation. It is a high-stakes financial war. When Christine Brown finally summoned the courage to pack her bags and walk away from the toxicity of the plural marriage, she did not just break Kody's heart, she fundamentally threatened the structural integrity of his entire financial house of cards. If Christine files a formal legal request for a comprehensive forensic accounting of Truly's TLC pay, demanding to see the exact paper trail of every dollar earned from her daughter's televised existence, Kody's meticulously crafted facade will instantly disintegrate. The sterile glow of the courtroom lights will illuminate the darkest corners of his financial ledgers, exposing a chilling reality where a father treated his own flesh and blood not as human beings deserving of protection, but as expendable assets in a ruthless, profit-driven enterprise. This legal collision course is fueled by an arrogance so profound it borders on delusion. Kody has spent years cultivating a narcissistic reality where he genuinely views his wives and his children as subordinate employees in his family entertainment business. He demands ultimate respect, ultimate obedience, and, most crucially, ultimate control over the treasury. The impending legal storm threatens to drag every hidden transaction, every diverted network check, and every hollow justification out into the blinding light of public scrutiny, setting the stage for a judicial showdown that could rewrite the rules of reality television forever. The undeniable reality of state labor laws, federal tax implications, and the sheer fury of an exploited child looking for answers are converging into a perfect storm that Kody Brown cannot simply charm or argue his way out of. To truly comprehend the grotesque magnitude of this financial betrayal, one must look directly at the most agonizing chapters of this televised saga. The exact moments where human suffering was transmuted into pure, unfiltered network profit. The ultimate knockout blow in this impending legal war lies in the undeniable, irrefutable video evidence broadcast to millions. Cast your mind back to the terrifying climax of Season 6, a sequence of television so raw and harrowing it transcends the boundaries of casual entertainment. Young Truly, barely old enough to understand her own reality, was rushed to the hospital in the grips of acute kidney failure. The cameras did not blink. They remained fixed and predatory, capturing the visceral terror radiating from a desperate mother, the sterile, blinding lights of the intensive care unit, and the rhythmic, haunting beeps of medical monitors tracking a child hovering on the edge of death. Years later, in the explosive 17th season, those same cameras zoomed in on a slightly older Truly, her face stained with tears, her voice trembling as the foundational pillars of her entire world collapsed beneath the crushing weight of her parents' highly publicized divorce. These were not mere storylines. These were the deeply traumatic, defining moments of a child's life, ripped from the sanctity of privacy and served up on a silver platter for public consumption. These specific episodes were ratings juggernauts. They generated staggering spikes in viewership, driving up the cost of commercial airtime and funneling massive surges of advertising revenue directly into the network's coffers. The chilling question that a forensic accountant will inevitably ask, the question that hangs over Kody Brown like a guillotine, is exactly how much of that specific trauma money, the bloody currency minted from a little girl's near-death experience and broken home, was quietly diverted into the sprawling, heavily mortgaged estate shared by Kody and his last remaining compliant wife, Robyn. This is not a simple misallocation of funds. It is a profound behavioral flaw, a dark character study of a man whose rampant narcissism has fundamentally warped his perception of reality and human worth. Kody Brown does not look at his sprawling family tree and see individuals with distinct rights, boundaries, and intrinsic value. He views his wives and his children as mere line items on a balance sheet, exploitable assets trapped within a closed-loop corporate ecosystem disguised as a fundamentalist religious family. He weaponized the doctrine of patriarchal authority, transforming it into a ruthless business model where he served as the uncontested chief executive officer, the sole beneficiary of a bizarre family entertainment enterprise. In his deeply distorted worldview, The emotional breakdowns, the bitter jealousies, and the childhood traumas of his offspring were simply the raw materials required to manufacture a highly profitable product. The children were unpaid laborers, bound by a biological contract they never signed, forced to clock in and perform their pain on cue to ensure the patriarch's lifestyle remained uninterrupted. To Kody, the idea of a child possessing their own labor rights, let alone demanding retroactive compensation for over a decade of televised exploitation, is not just legally threatening. It is a direct, intolerable insult to his entire fragile ego. He genuinely believes that his mere existence as their father grants him absolute, unending ownership over their time, their image, and their financial yield. When finally backed into a corner by public outrage and potential legal subpoenas, Kody will inevitably deploy the classic, universally despised defense mechanism of the reality television parent. He will stare directly into the camera lens, adopt a posture of wounded victimhood, and aggressively complain that he fulfilled his obligations simply because he fed and housed them. He will attempt to spin a narrative of ungrateful children biting the hand that provided their shelter, offering a staggering emotional appeal that relies on the archaic notion that basic parental duties are somehow a billable service. It is an argument that utterly disgusts modern audiences. The standard baseline of providing food, water, and a roof over a child's head does not magically grant a parent the legal or moral authority to confiscate a multi-million-dollar television salary earned off that child's direct participation. You do not get to bill your offspring for their own basic survival. This pathetic, inauthentic defense crumbles instantly under the slightest ethical scrutiny, revealing nothing but the hollow, transactional nature of his conditional love. He demands eternal gratitude for the bare minimum, while simultaneously skimming the maximum possible profit from their stolen youth. The thematic hypocrisy at the very core of the Sister Wives empire is perhaps the most sickening element of this entire scandal. For years, Kody Brown paraded across the screen, demanding total submission and absolute respect as the great provider, the divine head of the household who carried the unbearable weight of leadership. Yet the stark, verifiable reality behind the scenes paints a dramatically different and deeply embarrassing picture. While Kody was allegedly hoarding the TLC paychecks, consolidating his control over the family's primary income stream, and indulging in expensive artwork, luxury vehicles, and a lifestyle befitting a wealthy bachelor, the women he claimed to provide for were left financially starved. He let his wives hustle in the ruthless, exhausting trenches of multi-level marketing schemes just to keep their heads above water. The hypocrisy is absolute and undeniable. Christine and Janelle were forced to leverage their television fame to peddle nutritional supplements, pink drinks, and cheap leggings, grinding day and night through relentless online sales pitches just to afford basic necessities. When Truly suffered that devastating kidney failure, it was not the multi-million-dollar reality television treasury that covered the crushing medical bills. It was the frantic, desperate hustle of a mother left to fend for herself by a patriarch who controlled the vault but refused to open it. He sat atop a mountain of network cash, playing the role of the benevolent king, while forcing the actual stars of his show to resort to internet sales to pay for his child's life-saving medical care. This is the dark, rotting core of the Brown family dynamic. A financial dictatorship built on the backs of women and children who were simultaneously exploited for ratings and abandoned in their times of actual need. The era of unchecked, unregulated exploitation in the Wild West of reality television is rapidly crashing to a violent and legally binding halt, leaving men like Kody Brown stranded on an island of their own catastrophic hubris. He operated for years under the delusion that his family was a sovereign nation, immune to the laws of the outside world, a completely insulated patriarchal kingdom where his word was the final and only authority. But the ironclad reality of the American legal system is finally breaching the walls of his compound. He is no longer fighting a war of words with his estranged wives on a television set. He is facing the cold, unfeeling machinery of the justice system. The ultimate reality check, the terrifying phantom haunting Kody's every waking moment, is the glaring, undeniable legal precedent recently established by other reality television children, who have successfully risen up to reclaim their stolen financial agency. Look no further than the explosive, industry-shaking lawsuit filed by Jill Duggar against her own father, Jim Bob Duggar. For years, the Duggar patriarch operated with the exact same insidious financial playbook as Kody Brown, funneling massive network payouts into a centralized, family-controlled corporate entity, deliberately keeping his adult children completely in the dark regarding their actual market value and their legal rights to compensation. But when the veil was finally lifted, when Jill Duggar secured aggressive legal counsel and demanded a full accounting of her labor, the patriarch's fortress instantly crumbled. She successfully sued for the wages she earned while her childhood was broadcast to the masses, establishing a devastating, ironclad legal precedent that now hangs directly over Kody Brown's head like the sword of Damocles. This is the Duggar precedent, a legally terrifying roadmap of litigation that truly Brown's legal team can follow blindly to absolute victory. Kody is profoundly, hopelessly isolated. He is legally cornered in a shifting cultural landscape where judges, juries, and the court of public opinion no longer view reality television parents as quirky, overwhelmed caregivers, but as calculated corporate managers actively violating child labor standards. The terrible legal precedent working against him strips away every single one of his manipulated defenses. He cannot claim ignorance of the law, nor can he hide behind the shield of religious freedom or paternal authority, because the courts have unequivocally ruled that a child's right to fair compensation for televised labor completely supersedes a parent's desire to control the family treasury. The walls of Kody's sprawling, heavily mortgaged mansion are closing in. His former wives have scattered to the winds, taking their earning potential, their blind obedience, and their complicity with them. He is left completely alone with Robyn, isolated in an oversized monument to their greed, surrounded by a mountain of meaningless material possessions, listening to the deafening silence of a collapsing empire, while the storm of impending litigation gathers relentlessly on the horizon. The paralyzing fear setting in is the realization that the very legal system he once utilized to structure his protective LLCs is now the exact weapon that will be used to dismantle them. The point of no return is not a dramatic, tear-filled confrontation on a soundstage. It is the silent, chilling arrival of a process server, walking up the long driveway of the Flagstaff estate, handing over a thick manila envelope containing a legally binding subpoena. This is the moment the narrative is ripped entirely out of Kody's manipulative hands. He can no longer gaslight an interviewer, shout over his wives, or edit the footage to frame himself as the victim. A subpoena for financial records cares nothing for his patriarchal grievances. It triggers the immediate, terrifying deployment of a forensic accountant, the apex predator of the legal world. A forensic auditor does not listen to excuses. They look exclusively at the immutable, undeniable mathematics of exploitation. Picture the sterile, clinical precision of financial investigators tearing through more than a decade of meticulously hidden bank statements, unearthing the tangled web of LLC filings, scrutinizing every single tax return, and tracing the digital footprint of every hidden transfer. They will demand the original, unredacted TLC payout ledgers. They will cross-reference the network deposit dates with the air dates of the highest-rated episodes, mathematically proving the exact, sickening correlation between Truly's televised agony and Kody's sudden influxes of liquid cash. The paper trail will become the ultimate narrator of this tragedy, revealing in excruciating, dollar-by-dollar detail exactly how a father monetized his daughter's childhood. The ledger will show the exact moments the money meant for Truly's future, the funds generated by her terrifying kidney failure and her televised tears were diverted away from protective trusts and funneled directly into Kody and Robyn's personal accounts to fund down payments on adjacent land parcels, luxury vehicles, and an endless stream of exorbitant personal expenses. There is no escaping the brutal objectivity of a bank routing number. When the forensic audit is presented in a court of law, it will not just be a demand for restitution. It will be the total, permanent annihilation of Kody Brown's legacy. He will be stripped of his self-appointed title as a religious leader and a protective patriarch, officially entering the historical record as nothing more than a petty, opportunistic thief who financially cannibalized his own offspring to fund his vanity. The final judgment will be catastrophic, a forced financial reckoning that will drain his accounts and mandate the immediate liquidation of his hoarded assets to pay back the child he wronged. He will be forced, by court order, to surrender the wealth he believed was his divine right, watching helplessly as the sprawling properties and the curated lifestyle he built on the backs of his children are dismantled piece by piece to satisfy a massive civil judgment. The house of cards will finally collapse, leaving Kody Brown bankrupt not only morally, but entirely and legally, forced to pay up every single stolen dime to the daughter who survived his empire to finally conquer it. The truth of reality television is darker than the networks will ever admit, and the justice coming for Kody Brown will be absolute. If you are captivated by the hidden truths, the financial scandals, and the relentless exposure of reality television's darkest secrets, do not let this investigation end here. Hit that like button right now, share this video, and absolutely smash that subscribe button for Jenny Exposes so you never miss a single moment of the truth they try to hide.